Hi, this is Sarit Switzer, and welcome to the It Is Taught podcast, a podcast devoted to the teachings of Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi as recorded in his most famous work, the Tanya. My hope for this show is to make these teachings accessible and relatable to the average person, regardless of prior Jewish education or affiliation. The episodes follow the prescribed daily study portions and are meant to serve as practical lessons in how to live your life as your true self and develop an authentic and powerful relationship with your Creator. I have personally experienced the effects the study of this work has had on me, and I'm excited to share what I can of this knowledge with you. So please join me on this journey of learning, self-growth, and connection with your source. Hi, and welcome to the It Is Taught podcast. This is episode 130 for the 29th of Adar base in a leap year. So we've been discussing the topic of logic. We started talking about that yesterday. Please go back and listen to that episode if you haven't already. And we're in the middle of chapter 39 of Likutei Amarim. And we were talking about yesterday what logic is and what it's not, meaning the limitations of logic, and how logic is really a construct. It's something that God gave to us as a tool, kind of like as a present, for us to be able to make sense of reality without losing our sense of self. We also have been talking about how the realm of logic is in the world of Bria, which is a very high world, and we've mentioned this world before as well, earlier in this chapter, where we talked about how very, very righteous people, they dwell. This is their residence, the souls. This is their dwelling place, is in this world of Bria. This is the world of logic. And this is because their service of God was one in which they were able to utilize their intellect during their lifetime to be able to bring about feelings of love, very deep and intense feelings of love. And we kind of talked about this as being like the ultimate. And we compared it to the service of man. If we look at the order of creation, so there's the inanimate, vegetative, animal, and man is really the highest. So we said that highest level, that level of man, is the service through the intellect, where somebody is able to use their intellect to cultivate and birth deep emotions. And we contrasted it with the service of, quote unquote, the animal level, which is people who worship God from a more emotional state, where they're able to just arouse this innate love and fear of God that they have. Today, we're going to take it to a whole new direction. And we're going to talk about something which is beyond even this level of logic, even beyond worshiping God on this level of logic. And we're going to talk about this world that we started talking about yesterday, which is the world of Atzilus, or emanation. And we're going to talk about how there are actually some souls that reside there as well. So what could be higher than logic? So how is this even possible? Like we talked about yesterday how logic is really a necessary tool for us to be able to have our own sense of self, our own sense of existence, in order for us to be created beings. So this is the crazy thing, is what we will learn about today is there are, in fact, a few individuals, not many, to be fair. They're really very few and far between, but there are actually a few individuals who are able to achieve this level where they actually eradicate their sense of self, and they're actually able to serve God on a level which is described as being a chariot of God. So way earlier in the chapter, we did talk about some people that did reach this level, namely our forefathers. And we talked about how, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, our forefathers, they are described specifically as being chariots for God, because really their entire bodies and their entire lives served as vehicles for God. And they were channeling God in a really direct way in their life, in their world. So this is what we're going to talk about today, is that not only the forefathers, but there are, once again, very few and far between, but certain individuals who do achieve this level, and then their sole residence is going to be in this world of Atzilus, this world of emanation. So let's get into the text and see how the Alter Rebbe explains this. So the Alter Rebbe says that this constriction, so he's leaving off from last time, so we talked about how the logic comes from this place of constriction. So there's a constriction that happens where God constricts his light into a realm of rationale, of intellect. So this constriction comes about from the ray which radiates there, which is the ray of Chabad, of the intellect. Remember the three intellectual attributes of God. So the three intellectual attributes of God radiate to those souls that are found there in the world of Bria, which is not the case in Atzilus. So what happens in Atzilus? So again, Atzilus is that highest world where there is no constriction. The beings that exist in Atzilus are not in a state of constriction, at least not very much. And so this is why, since this world of Atzilus is not a world in which there is so much constriction, then the intellect of created beings is not able to receive from them. And so this is what we say when we say that there is no thought that can grasp God at all. Because truly, anytime we're talking about a thought that we grasp, automatically when we grasp it, it means we're not actually getting the essence of God, because God is beyond comprehension. And so thus, what is Atzilus? Atzilus is actually the abode, the dwelling place for the really, really great tzaddikim, the really righteous people, where their service was above even the idea of love and fear that comes from understanding and knowledge, from intellect, from the mind, on the greatness of God. Just as the world of Atzilus is above the level of understanding and knowledge for the intellect of a created being. But rather their service, if it wasn't an intellectual one, where they intellectually cultivated this love and fear of God, it was actually in a way of a chariot, a true chariot for the infinite himself, for God himself, to be totally nullified to him with utmost unity, like to totally be subsumed in, to lose their existence, just like what we were talking about yesterday, to be able to become a part of of God's light himself, to become subsumed in this light. Them and all that they possess in this infinite light, through keeping the Torah and mitzvahs in the way that the forefathers did, in the way that we described that our forefathers were a chariot, because their entire lives were dedicated to the service. So it wasn't like just like that they had their lives and then part of their lives was this like intellectual meditation and contemplation upon God and all of that. But in fact, it was like their entire lives served as this way of devoting themselves totally and completely to serving God. Thanks for listening to the It Is Taught podcast, hosted by Sarit Switzer. This podcast is dedicated in loving memory of my maternal grandfather, Avraham Yitzchak ben Binyamin HaKohen of blessed memory. Music by Shoshana. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to support the show, please share it with others and subscribe on YouTube, Apple iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And make sure to leave us a 5-star review. To find out more about the It Is Taught project, including more information on my soon-to-be published book, please visit our website, itistaught.com. To catch the latest from me, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Looking forward to speaking with you tomorrow, and until then, have a great day.